It started when HOA Karen, ever eager to assert dominance, called the authorities claiming that my ranch had too much land. According to her, my expansive property somehow violated HOA rules, zoning guidelines, or neighborhood aesthetic standards. Her demand was audacious. She insisted that I be evicted or forced to reduce my acreage immediately. At first, I was struck by the sheer audacity of the claim. But then I realized this was another opportunity to turn her overreach into a lesson she, and the entire HOA, would never forget. I calmly documented the situation. Every boundary, every deed, and every historical record of the property was cataloged. The ranch had been in my family for generations, all documentation meticulously maintained and legally sound. Karen, however, seemed to believe that her entitlement and the HOA's bureaucracy could override legal property rights. She did not anticipate that her actions would prompt a swift and irreversible response. As Karen attempted to escalate the situation, I devised a strategic countermeasure. Instead of reacting with anger or panic, I leveraged my ownership, legal authority, and understanding of HOA regulations. I began by contacting local authorities and presenting comprehensive evidence of my ownership, property boundaries, and legal compliance. Every claim Karen made was methodically addressed and nullified. The call to evict me became a showcase of her ignorance rather than a threat. Then I turned the situation to my advantage. I purchased the entire HOA's controlling interest in the neighborhood governance, legally and strategically. By the time Karen realized what had happened, the very organization she had sought to weaponize against me was now under my authority. Her calls, complaints, and threats were meaningless. The irony was palpable. She had attempted to control me through the HOA, only to discover that she was now entirely subject to my decisions. Karen's reaction was one of disbelief and panic. She had assumed she could manipulate rules and bureaucracies, that her sense of entitlement would allow her to enforce her will on others. Instead, she was confronted with a reality in which she had no leverage, no authority, and no recourse. The entire neighborhood observed her escalating frustration as her attempts at intimidation crumbled. To ensure complete resolution, I implemented several permanent measures. HOA rules were revised to prevent arbitrary harassment. My property boundaries were legally reinforced, and Karen's access to influence or intimidate neighbors was eliminated. Every future attempt at coercion or overreach could now be preemptively countered. Karen's audacity had directly led to her loss of control, leaving her credibility destroyed and her power effectively nullified. Neighbors, long subjected to her bullying and entitlement, watched with a mix of relief and admiration. For years, Karen had been the figure of intimidation, using the HOA to harass, manipulate, and assert control. Now, her authority had been completely reversed. The very mechanisms she had relied upon to assert dominance were now instruments of her humiliation. The outcome was decisive. My ranch remained intact, fully under my control, and legally protected from any arbitrary interference. Karen, stripped of power and exposed to scrutiny, had no choice but to retreat. The lesson was unmistakable. Entitlement, aggression, and attempts to manipulate property owners can easily backfire when met with preparation, legal authority, and strategic action. By the end of the week, the ranch was calm once more. The fences stood secure, the fields were undisturbed, and Karen's credibility had been destroyed. The HOA, now under my guidance, operated with clarity, fairness, and legality. Every neighbor understood the lesson. Overreach meets consequences, audacity meets strategy, and entitlement meets its match when authority and preparation collide. The incident became a turning point for the community. Karen's attempt to manipulate the system and evict me had not only failed, it had resulted in her complete loss of influence. The ranch, expansive and serene, stood as a testament to foresight, planning, and the enduring power of knowledge over arrogance. Every observer learned the undeniable truth. Those who overstep boundaries will face consequences far beyond what they anticipate.